What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Nice to meet you.
You too.
I love the blue mic, man. You feel
Thanks,
good
man.
with? I've had one for a long time.
Yeah, this
I,
thing's sweet.
yeah. So where are you coming out of?
Oh, Ohio.
Ohio. Right on. We're at in Ohio.
Mansfield. So it's like in between Cleveland and Columbus. It's like literally right in between both of them.
Okay. Well, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. So we are the two states that decide every election.
Yeah, every time.
We got the poll for sure. Well, hey man, it's great to meet you. And before we get into your career and get into your life and your mission, I want to know how you survived COVID. How did you get through that 3 year period, and how did it change you?
So when I first experienced COVID, I go to the gym a lot, and you all the gyms are completely shut down. So the first thing I did was try to beat everyone to buy gym equipment everywhere, and it was almost impossible. So
Yeah.
I made a project of building a home gym for me and my wife and my kids, and that was probably my saving grace. Because if I didn't go to the gym every day, the anger would consume me on a daily basis for sure.
Yeah.
So just building that home gym, and because so if I go out into my backyard, I have like a secondary garage that these people had built but never used because you can't have a driveway too close to another neighbor's house.
Gotcha.
So they never used it. So when I bought my house, I never really used it. And I'm like, that's a perfect opportunity. And so it's like a 900 square foot gym of just my own.
Right on. Well, I mean, that was the name of the game. I mean, it had a monopoly on us, so we had to figure out what to do,
Yeah.
So let's break down exactly what you do for a living. If I put you in front of a bunch of third graders, career day, one of the kids looks up and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
So I now coach, I do a mindset, fitness, and nutrition coaching full time. I actually used to be into the corporate world. I was all the way like really high rank until I was like the youngest plant manager on paper as a chemical plant. And I just wasn't fulfilling my purpose. And so I found my sobriety, lost 100 pounds, and I got back into fitness and coaching. And now what I do for a living is I teach people how to beat their daily vices so they become a better person. Because I know people that make two, three, $400,000 a year still living paycheck to paycheck because their vices are just destroying them.
Yeah. I remember when I got to a point where I wanted to take care of myself, I knew, like, take care of myself better as I got older. I knew that after 90 days, no matter what I did, it was going to be a habit.
Exactly. That's why I charge $2.99 a month, but I always try to talk someone into buying the 3 month package. It's cheaper. And just because I know if you only do a month, you're not really going to be able to build the discipline, the consistency, or even the understanding to even change your body. And most people don't see that good of a results in a month, so they give up, and then they don't want to sign up for the second month because they kind of gave up on themselves already. So I try to get people to invest into themselves because at the end of the day, if you break your vices, you're saving 20, 30, $40 a day because there's people smoking cigarettes, drinking beer, energy drinks, coffee. Like they don't realize how much money they're actually blowing with their life. So if you do a little bit of personal development, it will save you thousands, hundreds of thousands by the time you pass away.
And that's the thing I think about getting healthier is there's so many things that are easily done in a holistic manner, like not drinking, cutting out fast food. Even if you wanted to work out and you couldn't do a gym, you can do push-ups, you can do sit-ups, you can do things on your own. There's just more water. I mean, there's all these little things, and you know this, but I just kept thinking about that when I was thinking, what am I going to do to hold back all of this crap that we do as humans to be a healthier organism?
Yeah, exactly. And like some of my best clients, their best results were just home workouts. Like if you and then like I I wish what we would teach our youth more is like when you feel depressed or anxious or like just down on yourself, if you did 20, 30, 40 burpees or like 100 push-ups, like and you like used your body how it's always meant to be with movement, you would get rid of a lot of those feelings. Like if you feel self-doubt or negative towards yourself, if you do 100 push-ups, there's nothing else you can think of besides trying to get past that 100 push-ups because like you're solely focused on doing something physical. We took that out of our lives by cell phones. Our kids, like when they don't want to do anything but play video games, which video games are cool and it can make kids a lot of money nowadays, but they're losing the sight. That's why they say our flight or fight system is broken because we don't use it anymore.
Yeah. Well, and you're flooding your system with good juices that are getting your muscles going. I mean, it's simple biology to a good degree. You're replacing it. You're not worried about it. You get rid of that anxiety and it just turns into a healthy thing. And at the end of the day, you're just building your body up.
Yeah, and if you can pass that energy on to other people in your life and around you, then your life becomes better because like everyone has an aura about them. And if you work out or if you take care of yourself, you can normally treat people better, and then those people treat you better. Then your whole life improves together as a whole.
You know, I've seen those vignettes that they'll do where it's like if you hold the door for somebody and smile, then they do it to someone else, and then that goes, and it's this line, of good versus, just being an asshole to somebody, and then that makes them angry, then they get someone else angry. It's just a bad chain of events. So it's relatively, I would think, simple to do, but the simplest things are the hardest things to do sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's true. Especially like if you see people do pay it forward at the drive-through, it starts a chain link of positivity.
Yeah.
Um, like I talk to my mentor a lot. He's Wes. His name's Wes Watson. He's really big on Instagram. He was in prison for like 10 years, and he always just talks about like if it's not worth killing someone over, then why are you letting it ruin your day? People just see like the little things, like oh that guy looked at me kind of funny, and then it ruins their whole day, and then they pass on that energy to everyone.
Yep.
When you could do the opposite and pass on the good energy to that first person, and maybe change 100 lives that day through the next person
Yeah.
that guy puts positive energy onto. It's literally that simple, and like people overcomplicate it really.
Yeah, they do. We do. So, what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream to grow up and become?
The craziest thing is, man, like I really wanted to be a Marine. So then I was talking to my cousin. He's a doctor, and he was sitting there. My grandpa passed away not too long ago, and he was like, "Do you remember what you told me you wanted to be when you were younger?" I was like, "Yeah, I told you I wanted to be a Marine, and then I wanted to do something like where I could help people. I actually wanted to be a PE teacher instead of like an online coach, but I just kind of found this route later in life. But I wanted to go to the Marine Corps, do something cool with my life because like where I'm from, it's like a town of 40,000 people. Like none of my family ever traveled, so I wanted to do something different. None of my family really did anything like that. They either worked on the railroad or the steel mills, like the typical hardworking blue collar people that just like they just never left their house. All they did was work and retire.
Wasn't Rambo a Marine?
Yeah, I think so.
I
That's a good
remember that when
movie.
I was a kid. I was like, because my dad was in the Air Force, and I would think about the
Oh,
armed
nice.
services. And when I saw Rambo, I was like, oh my God, this guy is like
Yeah,
balls to the wall. It's no joke,
yeah.
you know? So, um, so talk to me a little bit about, let's delve a little bit more into where you were born and raised and how these seeds got in you to not only want to get in the military, but to have a healthy mindset and pass that along to others.
So the craziest thing is no one's ever taught me any of this. Like my parents are inherently they eat really bad. My whole family's like southerner by nature, so they eat really bad. The area I'm from is extremely negative. So I'm like the epitome of like if I can make it, anyone can make it. Like my hometown, if you Google it, is one of the worst crime rates per like how the size is in all of America.
Wow.
Very negative place. Like when I first started making my videos, I got tons of hate. Like people, but you can't force someone to understand your next level up. So I would get a lot of people like, oh, let's just do this because nobody's into like personal development in my area. Mainly, like that's the reason I wanted to go to the Marine Corps to change my environment. I actually fell back into a bad path for a little bit, got really bad into drinking when I came home. It was just I wanted to give my kids a life that I never pictured living. I grew up paycheck to paycheck my entire life. I remember watching my parents go to cash advance places all the time. I had to go and borrow money from my friends to eat school lunches because my dad made good money, but like I talk about all the time, they spent their money on vices and things. So like I couldn't get approved for school lunches or anything like that. I used to have to go steal school lunches. So I never really had positivity around me. Like even like growing up, my brother's doing really well now. He might probably makes like $50,000 a month off of tree service, but he was a two-time felon when I was young. So I had the only thing I had to look up to was like a gangster at the time. So like that kind of went that route for a really long time. Like a lot of my friends are dead or in prison. I just woke up one day and like I'm changing all this, and I'm gonna change as many lives as I can. Um, my mentor I hired, he changed the trajectory of my life. He helps my business thrive like crazy. I just started surrounding myself with people on the internet versus people around me, and I just hid away from the people that I knew could drag me down. I tried to invest in a couple businesses in my area, and it was like monkeys in a barrel, man. They were using me, and it would just pull me every different way, and my business would suffer from it. Like I gave my best friend a loan of like $30,000, and he almost didn't pay me, stopped paying me. Uh, we went into business together. I quit my job, and it was like a giant negativity fest. So I did it my own. Like I didn't have anyone around me besides people on the internet. And I just looked at people like Andy Frisella, Wes Watson, Ed Milet, people like that, Tony Robbins, anybody that could like actually put me in the right direction. I just watched and like engulfed myself in nothing but that. And I still do that to the day. Like I was reading this book called Non-Negotiable while I was waiting on you to get on the podcast, just because like every second is a day you can improve yourself.
Yeah. So you would consider them your heroes in this wave of
Yeah,
positivity. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. Like Wes is my mentor and I talk to him every day. And but it's still like he's like a hero to me because I like to be able to do what he did. He's only been out of prison like 5 years and be like one of the biggest fitness influencers on the planet and changing lives and helping people break their vices. Like people that can't even fathom helping that many people or actually work that hard every single day to keep getting people to come back to them.
So if you can meet anybody alive on the planet right now, who would it be?
So I would say Andy Frisella because he owns First Form. It's like one of the giant supplement companies, a huge motivational speaker. But I actually ended up meeting him like a month ago along with
Cool.
Birdman. That was a cool experience.
Yeah.
Um, I think another one I really like President Trump.
Yeah.
I just like how he's like he'll say what he wants, does what he wants. I think we need a lot more of that in the world.
What would you want to ask him?
I would probably pick his brain on business. A lot of people like they talk about the political side of him, but I mean he's been rich and successful. And before he was a president, no one ever talked any bad about him. They made a bunch of songs about him. They talked about how successful he was in business. So I would really just pick his brain on business because the more you can evolve in your life, the more money you can make, the more lives you can change. Like people will say, "Oh, it's not like you're only in it for the money," but if you don't make the money, you can't change more lives because you need to have a podcast or a foundation you can get onto to spread your message further and further. And sometimes you got to pay to get on things like that.
Yeah. What's the ultimate motivator for you for changing your life and doing everything you do, getting out of bed and being that force for people in their lives? What is that motivation for you?
So my initial motivation is my kids, and my second initial motivation is the other people's kids. Nobody has a society is attacking kids, masculinity, and just the world in general today. And we need to start preaching hard work, working out, health, all that. We need to like we should not be dying of heart attacks at 30 and 40 years old because we have a time or cell phones. You can have any type of knowledge you want. You can be a certified personal trainer in a couple weeks now just because of the internet. So like even when people say, "Well, I don't have the money to invest," but you could still Google all that and pretty much know everything that a personal
Yeah.
trainer paid for if you took the time to learn it. So I think just being a positive role model in my kids' lives and then positive role model, like if you watch my content on Instagram, I do the exact same thing every single day. I wake up and do burpees. I post my macros. I post my educational reading for the day. I post my second workout, and then I post like a nighttime, just like motivational speech. And then people come and like that really helps me, and then they go and take that positive energy to their kids, and that's what society's missing nowadays is good parents that actually lead their kids. It's like parents want to be their kids' friends versus well, you should be able to get along with your kids, but you also need to lead them in a direction where they go through a good path.
Yeah, I agree. So what has been one of the best success stories that you've been involved with as a coach?
My best success story to this date, his name is Anthony Davis. He owns AID Remodeling, and I give him a shout out every time I can because he came to me. I used to have a low tier and a high tier package, and he's like, "Hey, I'm on a high tier package for me and my wife. And I want to do the in person one. I don't do in person anymore because I have too many clients." But he said that he wanted to change his life, be a positive role model for his kids, and change just his business stature. So he was working for his grandpa, making $20 an hour. He signed up. He did 4 months with me. He got in the best shape of his life. His wife was joking around. She said he went from homeless to underwear model in 90 days. And just that energy he started giving back into the world, he ended up opening his own construction business. And I landed him like a $50,000 job his first month in at this company I had worked for. So to be able to take one of my clients, bring them in, mentor them, and then watch them make $50,000 from a construction job was like one of the coolest things I've ever experienced.
Right on. What are you the proudest of that you've done in your life so far?
I think just being in the Marine Corps, just 1% of the world never only does it, and I actually didn't take very much pride in it when I was in. You're young, you're dumb, you like get made fun of for being proud of being in it when you're in there, but like it changed my life. That's like when I first started. I know I reverted back for a little bit, but like A lot of my friends died from drug overdoses while I was in there. So like just going there, doing my 4 years, and like just being a proud American is really like I'm really proud of like saying I served for the military because I feel like if you did that, you could build some discipline in your life, and maybe we would have a little bit of a better structure in the world today.
I like the way Israel has it set up where everybody has to do it. I think we would understand the gravity of peace and the potential of war. I think there would be a level of us that would, I think it would get rid of a lot of the political bullshit that gets thrown around, the rhetoric that is just made to fire us up. If we understood some things from a more on the ground level, do you ever think about that would probably be a benefit
No,
to all of us?
I think it would, even if it wasn't the military, some act of servitude, like a cop, a firefighter, EMT, military. Because I used to talk when I used to have a normal job and I worked. One of my coworkers was from Spain, and he said that he did 2 years in their military because it was mandatory back then. They got rid of it, but he said that that's what changed his entire life, and then he was like three ranks up in the corporate world compared to me, and he was only like 6, 7 years older than me. So it like a lot of people that are veterans that actually take it serious and use their benefits, and they climb the ladder of a lot of places really fast because of the structured discipline you build while you're in there. So if more people had that, we wouldn't have all that. Then it would stop a lot of the debt from colleges that people are doing, and that consumes a lot of their life, their paycheck to paycheck because of that as well.
So, you had to get rid of a lot of toxicity and run away from a lot of that in your life. And I'm curious if you were to have a dream tonight and run in to the 20-year-old version of yourself and you could impart some advice based on the wisdom you've gained in your life up to this point, what would you tell that young version of you?
I would tell him to go to the military sooner. I didn't leave until I was 21, so I was consumed from that bad toxic place when I was an adult for 3 years. I would have started sooner, and I would have engulfed into personal development sooner, and I would have just took being a parent more serious when I had. I would have told him to take being a parent more serious when I first had my first daughter. So I have two kids. My oldest is a son, and then my second kid was my daughter. And like I remember when my son was like 5 or 6, asked him to get beers out of the fridge for me. And like now that I look back on that, I'm like, that's like the most horrible thing you can teach a kid is like it's okay to handle alcohol at that age. And I heard someone say that on a podcast the other day, like you got parents fetching beers for the kids, and that shit struck my heart because I'm like, I did that before.
Yeah.
So like just taking life more serious as soon as you can, which
Yeah.
is hard when you're young, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, no, no. I get it. And I remember when I had my son, who's 18 now, I quit smoking. I made a very concerted effort that I didn't want him to see that because I saw how bad it hurt my dad to see me smoke. So if you can just end that from the word go, because that's the thing, kids emulate what they see.
Yeah, they won't respect you and listen to you when they're young, but they still emulate you regardless.
Uh-huh.
Like you might not think they're going to emulate you because they argue with you and they do all these things, but they emulate everything they see. They're a mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this. Everyone out there has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
If I had to say one thing, I'm a person that runs off honor, courage, and commitment. I do the things that need to be done when no one's looking. I get up and do my 5 a.m. workout without anyone telling me. I could record 10 of them and just pretend like I did it all week if I really wanted to, because there's a lot of scams out there on the internet. I really pride myself off of just honor. I carry myself a very honorable person. I hold my word. Like when I left my corporate job, I gave them a month notice, even though I was making extremely good money, just because I wanted to set them up for success. And every day it was like, it was hard to go in there like, oh, I did a month, but like word is bond. So I'm just a very honorable person in my eyes.
Yeah. So if anyone out there wants to hire you, learn more about you, anything about your world, where can they go?
So it's pretty easy. It's just Perry's underscore powerhouse underscore fitness on Instagram. I don't have a website. Websites don't do much. You just come in, you'll talk to me one on one, just message me. Even if you're just having a bad day and you don't have the money to sign up, that's fine. Like I just want to be able to impact more people and get more followers and get my message out there. And I also have a GoFundMe for veterans. Like if you don't have any like ambitions for personal development, but you want me to help get another veteran sober, obviously they have to agree to it. I've already raised a package, almost 2 packages now. I reach out to veterans like, hey, this is the program. You get this for 3 months. I'll be your mentor. So they can go and donate it to that as well if they don't want to do their own personal development and help me push my mission forward.
Right on. Hey, Kyle, man, thank you so much for your story today. Thanks for your time. Best of luck with everything.
Thanks, man. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Take care.